Today we're going to talk about ridge vents and how to calculate net free ventilated area. First, you're going to Google ridge vent calculator and put in your square footage. Nice. This is going to give you your net free ventilated area split between the soffit and the ridge. An unconditioned attic space needs proper ventilation so that it doesn't get S, D, N. So damn nasty. To achieve this, we split the net free ventilated area between the soffit and the ridge. Fresh air comes up through the soffit and exhausts the hot, stale air through the ridge vent. Okay, let's get a little visual going. So the required amount of net free ventilated area for 150 square feet is 1 square foot, which is what this is. So for every 150 square feet of attic space, we need that much ventilation. But we don't just need it all in one spot. We need half at the ridge, and the other half split into quarters between the soffits. So our 1 square foot in square inches is 144 square inches for the area of 150 square feet. So we have 144 divided by 2. 144 divided by 2 is 72 square inches at the ridge, and 72 split between the soffits, so 36 and 36. But a lot of the time, that's not really how any of this works. See, when you or a friend of yours cuts a hole in the roof, it's going to look something like this. They're going to cut an inch along one side of the ridge and an inch along the other side of the ridge. So given that this is 10 feet, I need my cheat sheet because I'm brain dead. Each one of these cuts is an inch wide, so you can think of 1 foot of this is going to be 12 square inches. There's going to be 10 of those. So on one side of the ridge, we have 10 feet times 12 square inches times 1 is 120 square inches on one side. Same thing on the other side. So 120 times 2 is 240. So on the ridge, we already have 240 square inches of ventilation, which is like triple the amount that we need. Which is why things don't always work the way that big air wants you to think. So let's say we have a bunch of soffits. So each of these soffits, if you have a 1 foot overhang, you're going to have about a square foot per each soffit. And this specific soffit is rated for 14 square inches of ventilation per 1 square foot soffit. And since we have 10 of them, we have 140 square inches of ventilation on this side. And just because I'm such a nice guy, I'm going to do the other side. Oh God, I'm old. Oops, one too many. Okay, that's 10. So now we have 140 square inches of ventilation on either side. And in the center, we have 240. So we're out of balance. So what we would need to do to get close is put a solid piece of soffit, one on either side, to make this example work. But it doesn't just stop there. Let me go grab a ridge vent. So when you go to cover this thing up to keep out the demons, you're going to use either a rigid plastic unit like this, or it's going to come on a roll and you roll it out across the whole length. So if you had a plastic one, you would sit it over top like so, and they would tell you you're getting 80 inches of net free ventilated area. These come in 4 foot pieces, so you would have 80, 160, 200 to get 10 feet. But according to our maths, that's wrong. The net free ventilated area is dictated by the holes in the roof and not by this piece of junk. This is a lie. They're all liars. This goes all the way to the top. This is the stuff that big air doesn't want you to know. So no matter how many of those we pack on the roof, we're always going to be dictated by these 2 1-inch strips along the length to see how much net free ventilated area we have at the exhaust at the ridge. So once we know how big our hole is, and I know you got a big one, we can then go and buy our products like our soffit and our hunk of junk to match whatever size hole your brother-in-law pounded in the roof. And he pounds. Boy, does he pound. So if you have too many soffits and they're out of balance with what the ridge can handle, put in a solid piece. Put in a couple. Just make sure that they look somewhat symmetrical, otherwise it'll look like garbage. Same with the ridge vent. It all comes down to aesthetics, so that your wife stays happy. If all you need is one of these, you're just going to have a weird hump in your roof. So a lot of the time you'll use way more of these than you need, and you'll have to compensate at the soffit. And remember, that number and that number is half of this number. Otherwise you'll have to redo it all like I did. Lesson learned. We out of here, my bro.